green creature, that doesn't do anything, right? That's what it does, right? It then has cumulative upkeep 1.
Yeah.
Anyway, for those of you just joining us, I'm Gavin Verhey. I'm here with Jacob Van Lunen. We're going into round 7 of 8, so the penultimate Swiss round of the Legacy Open here. On your left is Chris Kronenberger, and he's brought a really unique deck to battle. Mono blue Energy Field, back to basics, Energy Field, couple creatures, Jace the Mind Sculptor, counter spells. Unfortunately, he's going up against a pretty bad matchup of Merfolk deck. Pretty stock Merfolk deck, 4 mental missteps of big new addition. And here we go, off the races. Chris leads with the turn 1 islands.
Drew has turn 1 island into a vial, and Chris is going to have to counter this vial. His deck is not well prepared to deal with that. He's going to brainstorm first. He's going to see if he can find a mental misstep. He doesn't really want to have to use that force on this, but if need be, he will. And let's see if he found a mental misstep. That's what he wants to do. Yep. So, Chris mental missteps the vial. Let's see if he gets forced back or anything, or mental misstep back.
Attention Magic players, I need Jason Barnett and Dan Stokes to main event stage, please.
And
there's a force from Drew Snyder.
He forces and removes Coral Home Commander. Chris is probably going to force back now.
I mean, Aether Vial is absolutely key in this matchup.
Yeah, especially also the other thing is that
forces removing Jace.
Yeah, and that vial is getting binned. So, both players traded, 3 cards for 3 cards.
He's like, no.
Yeah.
That's stay in play.
Chris goes ahead and plays another island before he passes the turn.
And what's that flicker around in Chris's hand? He's got a spell snare?
Spell snare, sower, energy field. Spell snare, oh lord.
Yeah, spell snare, lord. Okay, well, this isn't too bad for Chris Kronenberger.
This isn't bad at all.
That gigantic counter war actually really benefited him because it forced Drew Snyder to waste a lot of resources.
Yeah, and it's actually gonna allow him to have an energy field in play for like a long time if he wants to. So.
Let's see. Down comes Aether Vial.
And Chris is going to have to let this one resolve.
Okay, he lets it resolve. And Drew, but Drew only has 2 cards left in his hand. You could probably castle all the cards you wanted to play anyway. So.
Yeah. But the thing is, Vial makes them uncounterable, and Chris's deck is chock full of counter spells. So luckily, he's used all his counter spells now. So.
And in comes Mutavault.
Mutavault will put Chris down to 15 here.
Draws an island. He's sitting on counterspell. Nice Jace versus Chandra counterspell, I think. And that's an energy field sitting in his hand right now.
Yep.
Energy field. What a unique little card.
Yeah, and he's doing a really good job slow rolling that energy field there.
Yeah, you don't just want to run it out there too early if you don't have to. All right, activates Mutavault, serves in. Chris drops at 13. Coral Home Commander enters the battlefield. Main phase, that's interesting. Why would you do that main phase? Any particular reason? Oh, so you could level it up, I guess. But yeah, I guess it seems like you would want to level it up all the way and then crack right through with your Mutavault next turn if you were going to do that. But all right, there's the Sower for the Coral Home Commander.
And that's backbreaking.
Yeah, that is bad news.
Really good against Merfolk.
And yeah, it is big time.
They just don't have a card that can deal with it. That's one of the reasons why Jit was so good.
And soon, like, Chris can level up that guy too, and 4/4s can end the game in pretty reasonable fashion.
Yeah, I mean, it's not unreasonable at all for Chris to just...
That's 6, 12, 18. I mean, it's a 4-turn clock, and if they can find a way to deal Drew 1 extra point of damage, it's 1 less turn. Down comes Energy Field, so Chris chooses to play the field now.
He's going to level this up twice, and he's just going to bash with both guys.
Serve for 6. Drew drops to 13.
And now he just doesn't have to play another spell for the rest of the game, and Drew's locked out. Drew's no out. in his deck, unless Chris messes up.
We can make a Coral Home Commander fly. You draw a lot of Coral Home Commanders. He can draw his own Sower.
Oh, that's true.
Might
he
do
can draw
something.
his own Sower. Is Coral Home Commander good enough?
I mean, Lord of Atlantis gives his guys Island Walk, which
Right,
would
yes.
attack through, but there's Energy Field in play, which doesn't do anything. And eventually Chris will draw another Sower or one of his Vendelian clicks. So I mean, I think Chris is in a really good position right now. He turned to he reads Energy Field.
Yeah.
And he attacks. He's like, oh, well, that's a little awkward. And Chris turned a really rough situation into a pretty good one for him.
Yeah.
I mean,
Chris
it's
bashes one for another 6, puts him at 7.
not a good matchup, but
Passes back. Puts that at 3.
and now, what is Drew thinking? Like, how is he going to get out of this?
Drew's like, what is going on? Energy Field, really?
I did not test against this deck.
Yeah. Pretty awesome card.
Yeah, it's weird for such a powerful card with such a powerful effect. It isn't played very often. Obviously, it's hard to build around.
Yeah, it's really hard to have cards never go in your graveyard. Like, you can assemble that and Nether Void, and then you just never take damage.
Right.
That's something that people used to do.
All right, there's another Coral Home Commander. So he level up the commander and get a blocker, but that's only going to buy him time.
And I mean, Chris is probably just going to counter this anyway and loses his Energy Field anyway. So.
And Chris is in a pretty plus position. The Energy Field wasn't doing him a whole lot. All right, so Drew's going to force back, pitching Marrow Regery.
And Chris will likely just force back now, kill his opponent. His opponent's a 6.
His hand is back to basics, Force of Will.
Yeah, he just forces back and he wins, right?
I think he was just making sure.
Players, we've got 3 spots remaining in a $10 booster draft.
Yep.
3 spots remaining in a $10 booster draft.
I think Drew's going to make him play it out, but that's lethal.
He's going to make him attack.
Yes, he's back. Unless he's got Kira. If you get Aether Battle and Kira, that'd be the one
We'll be
exception.
wrapping up at the end of this round.
Because Kira flies, I believe.
In $10 booster draft, we've got players in Legacy Winterbox. So if you're
He draws
interested in
Vidalcan
those
Shackles
decks,
off that Brainstorm.
she'll get you into them, and we'll hopefully get those started.
Mental Misstep, Misty Rainforest, I think, are the other 2 cards. And serves in for lethal. All right, and that's it. There is no Kira, just an island in that hand. So Chris Kronenberger, against all odds, takes down the first game. This is a really cool deck. And he's playing for top 8 contention. I would love to see this deck break through. It's really neat.
Oh yeah, I mean, this deck's awesome.
And now let's see, for Chris, he's going to bring in 3 Luan Cephalid Empress. I think that's his big weapon. Is Misdirection any good in this matchup at all?
I don't think so. I think Misdirection's just like redundancy on Force of Will and only during Counter Wars.
Right.
And you can't really play more than 4 of that card anyway. You're just going to end up destroying your own hand.
Right. Well, yeah, exactly. You don't really want to draw a ton of Force of Wills. So.
Misdirection's really good against like him decks. I think he's bringing in Luan, and that's probably it.
I agree. I mean, his other cards are Chalice, Mind Harness, Energy Flux, Surgical Extraction. None of those any good here. Misdirection, I think, is pretty clearly not a good card to bring in. Luan is obviously what it's for, so he's going to bring those in. Over on Drew Snyder's side of the board, first, he's got to be a little confused about what's going on.
Yeah, I don't think he knows what to do.
He probably doesn't realize...
He may be bringing in cards like Jit and cards that really don't do
Dismember.
much at all against Chris Kronenberger.
He could bring some Luans of his own. He's probably going to bring those in so he can Legend Rule Chris's. Of course, the problem is if Luan gets Sowered, that's really bad.
That's really bad.
Sorry, you can't Legend Rule Luan because if you can't play blue creatures.
You can't play blue creatures once you play, so...
But yeah, Soaring one is rough. But you probably bring in the Luan just to lock Chris out of options. I'm sure he's figured out Chris's mono blue by now. So I would see a Drew bringing in the 2 Luans at least. Maybe he'll bring in the Dismember or Jite. He shouldn't, but he might. And then, what do you think you cut if you're Drew Snyder?
I definitely cut Merfolk Sovereign. I'd also like to cut Akira. And I don't know. I don't know if you can cut Sower post board. You probably just have to like shave something somewhere. I guess like maybe a Curse Catcher.
The Chris Catcher seems awesome against a deck that has so many instants of sorceries, though.
Oh, it does. I mean, Chris Catcher seems good, but I don't know what else you caught.
I mean,
Like,
is Kira that good
Kira,
here?
You cut Kira.
Yeah, Kira doesn't seem too exciting. I mean, it makes you pay more to Shackles, but...
Well, yeah, I said he was cutting Kira and Merfolk Sovereign, though. So then he gets one more, right? Huh, I don't know.
Depends.
Maybe he doesn't need one more. He might just cut Merfolk Sovereign and Kira and bring in, like, 2 Lawan and 1, like, Jit or Dismember or something.
Yeah, I think that sounds like a more reasonable cut to me. I think he wants all of his Lords. I think he wants all of his Curse Catchers. He wants all of his Vials, all of his Missteps, all of his Forces, and all of his Dazes, I'm pretty sure. It's a really, really interesting energy field mono blue control deck, and I've not seen something like this for a while. That's what I love about Legacy. We come here to the Star City Games Open Series, and all the time there's different decks. I mean,
this is an archetype after my own heart, and it was funny because he was talking to me about it and asking me advice, and every time I said something, he would explain to me like why that wasn't the way it worked anymore in like new Legacy and a new format, and I'd be like, oh yeah, you're right, that's awesome. So it was just like me like getting a chance to like hear talk about the deck. So.
Yeah,
it's pretty awesome. He's like really happy with the Oblivion Stone and stuff. I think he's tested a lot. He was saying that he's been playing with his friends for weeks. So
yeah, if you haven't, I mean,
like this is a deck that like this deck's very complex. If you look at the list, so it's pretty obvious that he's done some work on this one.
Yeah, like I said, it's crazy. Like, people who worked on these decks for weeks, you've never, might have never seen them before, and they sit down and play in a tournament like this. It's incredible. If you haven't seen it for yourself, you really should come and check it out. The Open Series, especially, I mean, Standards is great, but on Sunday, the Legacy portion and the Draft Open, you see some of the best players drafting. You also see a lot of really interesting Legacy decks on Sunday. It's every time I walk in the room, I'm always amazed to see what cards I see skittering around the tables. And this is just another one. Towards the top tables, we have a mono blue control deck. And if you want to qualify for the Invitational, which is coming up soon, this is a great way to do it. Come out to these events, play some Legacy, play a Brew. It shows you Brews can succeed in this format.
Brews can certainly succeed in this format.
And yeah, you're gonna want to qualify for the Invitational. You're gonna want to top 8. You want to get those Open Series points. And we've seen players like for example, Jerry. Like a lot of his decks are Brews, and he's parlayed his ability to brew really well into success on the Star City Games Open Circuit, which is really impressive. So brew well, pick up Open Series points, come out and play in these tournaments, and some combination of all three, you could find yourself heading toward the Invitational, pick up some buys, pick up $250 every time you come out to a tournament. It's just absolutely a wonderful circuit. In the meantime, looks like these players have drawn their opening 7s. Is that a...
I can't see.
No, yeah, I can't see. I thought I saw Lawan in Chris Kronenberger's hand, but couldn't really make it out.
All right, Chris is going down to 6 cards here.
Okay, and so Drew's keeping. Chris is going down cards.
I imagine Chris sided out 2 back to basics, probably 1 energy field for 3 Lawan.
Do you think you take out energy field in this matchup?
I mean, you have counter wars and stuff. I feel like energy field's like probably best against like creature-based decks where like they can't really interact.
How do you feel about Echoing Truth in this matchup?
I like Echoing Truth. It bounces Vial.
Yeah, that
turns off that threat. Like everything's a 4 of them, or folks especially have their board against you. And like this deck gets a lot of its card advantage back really quickly when it has a Jace, or like if it has a top, just its card quality is really high. So,
I mean, I think hitting Vial is definitely useful. It's it might be a little narrow, but
I guess you cut one of those instead of one of the other ones.
Maybe. Maybe cutting energy for this guy. It just seems like a good card in this matchup. But all right, and there's the Vial.
Throw in Vial again.
That's the card Chris really wants to counter, and he's thinking about it, trying to figure out what he does. Oh, Vial resolves. That is bad news for Chris Kronenberger.
That's really bad. His hand's chock full of counter spells.
Yeah, and the Vial will basically, the one card will single-handedly neutralize all the counter spells sitting in Chris Kronenberger's hand right now.
Yeah.
There's a Mutavault. Draws Vidalcan Shackles.
That's a good one.
Chris Catcher comes down at the end of Chris Kronenberger's turn.
Drew goes up to 2 counters on that. He's going to activate this Mutavault. Does he have a 2-mana Lord?
Looks like it. Lord of Atlantis is coming into the play.
That's
Yep.
a pretty good draw.
Yeah, this is a really good draw for Drew Snyder, and that Aether not getting countered makes it all that much better.
I'm bashing him for 5 here.
Yeah, 5 points. And maybe Chris has an Echoing Truth in his hand. He's thinking about this attack, so I wonder if he's that's what he's been thinking about. Is he wondering if Drew drew an extra card? Oh, maybe he just forgot to draw. Okay, so it looks like there's just like slight confusion. Looks like Drew forgot to draw his card for the turn.
Yeah.
And Mutavault was a good card to draw there.
Yeah, Chris, good man, doesn't let Drew mess with the game state and points out that his opponent forgot to draw a card.
All right, so he cracks Polluted Delta. Goes to get an island. So he's staring down Lord of Atlantis and Curse Catcher with 2 Mutavaults on the other side. Chris has to find some action on fast. Now he could, if he has Energy Field, he could deploy it here. But the question is, how is he going to, maneuver the game into a position where that works to his advantage? I think he's got 2 Energy Fields in his hand right now.
Okay. It's definitely like workable.
This hand looks like Jace, Energy Field, maybe a couple other cards I couldn't see. There's the Energy Field. See if Drew lets it resolve. I think it probably will. All right, it resolves. And so attacking Chris now doesn't do anything. The trick is, how is Chris going to get ahead?
Yeah.
It's very hard for him to do. Especially if Chris might be a little land light here because he missed his land drop last turn. So he's going to have to discard at some point, potentially. Drew plays a Silver Gill Adept, draws a card. Chris draws, doesn't look like it's a land. Let's see.
Is he gonna have to go to discard step?
Oh, he does have a land.
Oh, okay.
That's Polluted Delta, right? Yeah, I'm seeing that. But he doesn't want to play the Delta because it cracks the Energy Field.
Yeah.
Interesting. And it's kind of a weird tension where you want to play these fetch lands because you have Brainstorm and Top in your deck, but with Energy Field, they're just useless.
Yeah.
And obviously you don't want to deploy the Energy Field as soon as you do, as soon as he did here. And there's the Wasteland, which will force Chris to burn his Energy Field. So he's going to activate Mutavault, make itself a creature. Okay.
I'm confused.
I think he doesn't realize how Energy Field works. He just wastelanded his own Mutavault. Yeah, he thinks that's whenever a card goes into his graveyard, not Chris's graveyard.
Oh my goodness. You already played a land this turn, didn't you?
Yeah, I already played the Wasteland this turn. That Wasteland was the card he needed to break the Energy Field, too.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, yes, indeed. Yeah, he just wastelanded his own Mutavault.
These are advantages you get when you play cards that people
just have never heard of in their lives.
Yeah.
I mean, we were talking about earlier about how, even Edgar Flores, who's a very good player, just doesn't know what a lot of the legacy cards do. If someone plays Energy Field against him, you can misread it and be like, that's crazy. It couldn't possibly be when a card goes into his graveyard. That's got to be too good, right? And no, apparently not. It's a real card. Let's see.
Here we go.
Chris looking at Shackles?
Yeah, he's probably thinking about...
There's Shackles.
Drew did not have a counterspell.
Wow.
Yeah, and now Like, Chris doesn't have to do anything. Chris can just steal things with shackles and just bash with them.
And eventually he'll draw the wand too, right? And just set that up.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Carmichael on Twitter says that he played against Chris Kronenberger with this deck over a year ago. So he's been playing it for a long time. So
wow.
he knows how to play this deck pretty well. Wow. He is certainly no freshman to this archetype.
Drew needed that Wasteland to break the standstill.
Yeah, that Wasteland is very important. You crack that Wasteland on Polluted Delta, you force Chris to sacrifice it. And now that Vidalcan Shackles will start to get to go to work. And the way it works, he can actually shackles a Merfolk, and it has Island Walk.
Yeah.
So he can just serve with it and just start dealing, 3 a turn.
Yeah.
So he cracks Polluted Delta, Energy Field goes away. We know Chris has another Energy Field in his hand. So the Energy Field goes away. And what do you think Chris is going to do on his next turn? Play another Energy Field? Does he have another play? What's he going to do along with that?
I think he's just going to play Energy Field and pass, and then he can take a Merfolk on Drew's turn.
He definitely really wants to crack that Polluted Delta just so that he doesn't have to worry about getting Wastelanded at some point.
Yeah.
All right, so he plays another Energy Field. So I've got a question about Energy Field. Does it say all damage will be dealt to you is reduced to 0? Does it work with Jace, is my question. I'm going to look it up right now. Frontal damage will be dealt to you by sources you don't control. So you cannot protect a Jace with Energy Field. That would be insane.
No, you cannot.
But that's not how it works. You can still attack Jace. So Drew plays another Mutavault.
Chris is going to begin the beats.
Yeah. I mean,
does Drew have a counterspell in hand yet? No? Because next turn Chris might just land another Shackles, right?
Yeah, I don't know what's in Chris or in Drew's hand right now. Can't really see very well. What do you think?
I mean, it's probably dangerous to try to cast another Shackles, though. Like, I guess he really has to have Force, though, so.
Rejury. Okay. So Drew's cast Samara Rejury, which makes all of his guys pretty big. But make sure not to untap that Shackles.
Alright, Chris draws another island. He's going to bash for 3 with the Silvergill Adept.
Let's see.
Maybe he'll steal Lord first if he can.
Yeah, I mean, as long as he's fine playing that Vidalcan Shackles, probably take the Merfolk Sovereign or the Mara Rejury. Probably the Rejury, so you can't. Wait, does Rejury say untap? Could he untap the Vidalcan Shackles?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, you want definitely want to take the Rejury then.
Yes, you need to take the Rejury. Right now.
Yeah, Rejury definitely untaps, so you have to take the Rejury.
Take the Rejury.
Yep.
Yeah.
Pump up my guy, so
Good boy.
getting for 4 Island Walk.
Uh-oh.
Drew Snyder will drop to 16 on this attack.
Yep.
If you're Drew Snyder right here, you're trying to figure out what you're doing to win this game with that energy field out there, and when you're taking 4 turn, are soon to be.
It seems just about impossible. It's actually impossible with what he has in his deck. I guess he can play a Lawan.
Yeah.
If he has.
Well, I mean, Lawan kind of works, but then Chris just steals Lawan with Vidalcan Shackles.
Yeah.
That's not a very good situation.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's like. Wow.
Let's see. I'm sure he has something here. Let's look over this. I mean, he has to find a way to deal with that energy field. And even if he finds a way to... Even if he has, like...
I'm surprised he keeps casting spells. I don't know why he's doing that.
He soars. Maybe he's worried about closing in time. I don't know. Maybe he just is sure Drew doesn't have a counterspell either. But he soars the Merfolk Sovereign and then attacks for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Because of the Lord of Atlantis. 4,
yes, that's
5,
5.
6.
Yeah, 9.
Yeah.
That'll put Drew down
Chops Drew's
to
left a little
7.
half. That's it. Wow.
Wow.
Mono blue.
That deck is awesome.
Yeah, we're gonna definitely get him in the booth.
That deck's so cool.